Right now, look at the clock on your wall or the corner of your computer screen. It ticks forward once every second, perfect, predictable, and unchanging. Physically, time moves at the exact same rate whether you are lying on a tropical beach or staring at a spreadsheet. But your brain does not live in physical time. You know this feeling. 5 minutes on your phone in the morning disappears in the blink of an eye. 5 minutes at your desk on a Friday afternoon feels like a prison sentence. Same clock, same 60 seconds, completely different universe. For almost all of human history, we assumed this way was just a trick of the mind, a minor annoyance we all had to suffer through. We were wrong. The way your brain processes time at work is not an accident. It is a survival mechanism, and the reason why 8 hours at your desk feels like 24 reveals something deeply unsettling about the modern human mind. Let's start with an illusion you have experienced 1,000 times without realizing it. You sit down at your desk, you feel bored, you glance up the wall clock. For a split second, the second hands something completely frozen. It hangs there in midair, refusing to move, until it finally ticks forward. This is not a delusion. It is a documented neurological phenomenon called chronostasis, or the stop clock illusion. When you flick your eyes toward the clock, your brain undergoes a rapid eye movement called a saccade. During the tiny movement, your eyes are actually blind. To prevent you from seeing a blurry motion blur mess, your brain does something completely incredible. It erases the gap. It makes the image of the clock you see after your eyes land and backdates it into the past to fill the blank space. Your brain literally rewrites your immediate memory to make the time feel continuous. Now think about what happens at work. When you're engaged, focused, or having fun, you rarely check the time. When you're bored or stressed, you check the time every 3 minutes. Every single time you glance at the clock, your brain pauses, backdates the image, and stretches the second. You are literally forcing your brain to manufacture extra milliseconds of duration by constantly watching time. You are slowing it down frame by frame. In 2007, neuroscientist David Engelman ran a terrifying experiment at Baylor College of Medicine. He wanted to answer a simple question: does time actually slow down during intense moments, or does it just feel like it's bad afterwards? He took volunteers and dropped them backwards off a suspended tower, falling 15 stories into a net at 70 miles per hour. He gave them specialized 3D display that flashed numbers at a speed slightly too fast for normal human vision to read. If the brain actually sped up its visual processing during fear, like a high-speed camera, they would be able to read the numbers while falling. The results, they couldn't read them. Their visual processing stayed the exact same speed, yet when they landed and were asked to estimate the duration of their fall, every single person recalled their drop as lasting twice as long as it actually did. Engelman discovered that time perception is not measured by the clock inside your head, it is measured by how many memories your brain packs into a single moment. When you face novel or dangerous situation, your amygdala kicks into high gear. It orders your hippocampus to write down every tiny detail. More data recorded equals a longer timeline in your mind. Now flip the logic upside down. What happens when you sit in an office? Think about your daily routine. You wake up, you take the same route to work, you sit in the same chair. You open the same email inbox, you drink the same coffee out of the same mug. To you, this is just a normal Tuesday. To brain, it is an emergency or efficiency. Processing new information consumes massive amounts of metabolic energy. Your brain weighs only 2% of your body mass, but it consumes 20% of your energy. So, to save power, your brain automates everything it can. When you perform a repetitive task at work, your brain stops recording dense memories. It switches to autopilot. It says, I've seen this before, no need to restore this data. This creates a bizarre psychological paradox. While you are sitting at your desk, the lack of stimulation makes the present moment drag endlessly. Your unconscious mind is trapped in a state of hyper-awareness, waiting for anything new to happen. Seconds feels like minutes, minutes feels like hours. But when the day ends up and you walk out the door, your brain looks back at the timeline of the last 8 hours. Because it recorded almost no new memories, the timeline collapses. The day felt interminably long while you were in it, but feels like an empty blur the moment it ends. You suffer through an aggressively slow day, only to realize at night that you have no memory of where the time actually went. There is another layer to this trap, and it is hidden deep within your brain's reward chemical, dopamine. Most people think dopamine is released when you receive the reward. It isn't. Dopamine it is released in anticipation of the reward. It is a chemical engine of motivation. When you're doing something exciting, exploring a new city, playing a game, working on a passion project, your dopamine levels spike continuously. High dopamine levels after your internal pacemaker. Neuroscientists at the Champollion Center for the Unknown ran experiment on mice manipulating dopamine neurons. When dopamine levels were elevated, the animals consistently underestimating the passage of time. Time flew by. When dopamine levels were suppressed, time slowed to a crawl. At work, especially during tedious tasks, your dopamine levels drop to rock bottom. There is no novelty. There is no immediate reward. Your internal clock literally decelerates. Every tick of the second's hand feels heavier, louder, and more painful because your neurochemistry is starved for anticipation. You aren't just waiting for 5 p.m., your brain is psychologically starving for a reason to pay attention. For 300,000 years, your ancestors lived in harmony with natural time. When the sun rose, they hunted and gathered. Every day was unpredictable, a new terrain, a changing climate, a sudden threats. Their brains were constantly flooded with novel stimuli, rich sensor data, and variable routines. Then came the Industrial Revolution. We invented the punch card. We invented the cubicle. We invented the head-hour shift. We placed human beings into artificial environments designed entirely for consistency and predictability. We eliminated the friction of survival and replaced it with the friction of repetition. We traded unpredictable danger for predictable boredom. And in doing so, we created an environment that runs completely counter to how the human brain involved the process of life. When you sit at your desk, feeling like time has stopped, your brain is not malfunctioning. It is remembering what it was built for. It is screaming at you that nothing around you is worth remembering. So why does the time slow down while at work? Not because your clock is broken, not because the day is actually longer. It slows down because your brain is trapped between a conscious mind that is waiting for day to end and a memory system that nothing to record. We spend 40 years of our life wishing for the workdays to speed up. We count down the hours, we stare at the clock, we celebrate Fridays and dread Mondays. We spend 8 hours a day trying to kill time. And then wake up decades later looking back at a life that felt endless in the moment but vanished in an instant. The cure isn't to work faster, the cure is to break this routine, to force your brain off autopilot, because the clocks will keep ticking at the exact same speed. What changes is whether you choose to live inside the seconds or just let them pass by you by.